It is Wednesday. It's the 29th of January. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Our top stories today.
God bless.
U.S. President Barack Obama is hitting the road today. He's launching what he is calling a year of action to help Americans who are struggling just to get by. The president will head to Maryland and Pennsylvania in just a few hours. He's trying to drum up support for economic proposal that he set out in his nationally televised State of the Union address Tuesday night. And in one example of what the president plans to do by executive order, he promised to raise the pay for federal contract workers.
In the coming weeks, I will issue an executive order requiring federal contractors to pay their federally funded employees a fair wage of at least $10.10 an hour because
More on the president's speech and the Republican response. Senior White House correspondent Brianna Keilar joins us now live from Washington. Brianna, it was a very emotive speech, but as they say, when it comes to Obama's speeches, he always does very well. But when it comes down to the kind of response that he got from the Republicans, that's a different story.
Yeah, no, that's true. But here's the thing. They're kind of members of Congress, pawns in what is a night of sort of theatrics.
All right, Brianna, thank you very much. Brianna Keilar there live for us from Washington. Well, let's get more on the international reaction to President Obama's speech. Let's take you live to senior international correspondent Nick Robertson, who joins us now from Geneva, Switzerland. And Nick, there wasn't much when it came to foreign policy. He did talk about Afghanistan, but he did touch upon Iran by saying that we must give diplomacy a chance to succeed. What more are you hearing about what the president had to say about Iran, where you are right now?
Well, we're not hearing any comments from here specifically on Iran. And earlier...
Thank you so much. Nick Robertson there live for us from Geneva. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Kiev's concessions. Lawmakers in Ukraine debate whether to offer another olive branch. We're watching an extended edition of CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. They've been protesting on the streets of Kiev for 2 months now, demanding a change of government. Yesterday, opposition protesters in Ukraine got a little bit of what they wanted when the prime minister stepped down. Today, there could be another concession. Well, among those people calling for a change of government in Ukraine is Jan29 Tymoshenko. She's the daughter of former Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko, who was jailed in 2011 on charges the U.S. and Europe have called politically motivated.
The facts is that the pro-presidential majority in the parliament is controlling the parliament and can just reshuffle the government.
Jan29 Tymoshenko speaking there. Some of the other stories that we're following here at CNN News Center. A winter storm has brought much of the southern U.S. to a standstill. Snow, freezing rain, and ice stranded motorists on slippery roads for a long, cold night, creating a traffic nightmare. There were hundreds of traffic accidents, and thousands of students had to spend the night at their schools because there was no way to get home. Only a month since the Formula One driver Michael Schumacher had his ski accident in France, the 7-time world champion remains in a medically induced coma in a French hospital. 2 F1 teams, Mercedes and Ferrari, showed their support for Schumacher as they... It's a sudden turnaround for Mexico. The government says it will provide vigilante groups which are fighting a drug cartel in western Mexico a way to become recognized. The government says the so-called self-defense units can become part of a sanctioned rural defense corps, but only if they meet certain criteria. British media reports say detectives from London have arrived in Portugal and hope to question 3 potential suspects over the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. 3-year-old Madeleine disappeared at a beach resort in Portugal. That was 6 years ago. The men the police want to interview are believed to have been near the scene when she went missing. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. You are watching an extended edition of CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. UN mediator Lakhdar Brahimi is trying to break the deadlock at the Syrian peace talks in Geneva. Tuesday's session was cut short and the atmosphere soured as the Syrian government protested at a U.S. decision to resume sending aid to the rebels. Well, there were hopes Syria would allow humanitarian aid to be brought into the besieged city of Homs, but that still hasn't happened. Despite reports the situation in the city is desperate. Mohammed Jamjoon joins us now live. He's in the Lebanese capital, Beirut, for us. Mohammed?
Monita, one of the things we've heard most from opposition figures in and around Homs as
that indeed. All right, Mohammed, thank you very much. Mohammed Jamjoon, they're live for us from Beirut. Well over 2 million people have been able to get out of Syria since the war began, and many of them are still in refugee camps across the border. Atika Schubert was at the Zaatari camp in Jordan to see how people there are surviving.
Some people call him the mayor of Zaatari. Kilian Kleinschmidt's technical title is UNHCR Senior Field Coordinator.
Hello, how are you?
He calls.
Stay with us. CNN News Center live from Hong Kong continues right after the break. Okay, so we are just 9 days away until the Olympic torch arrives at Sochi's Fished Olympic Stadium for the opening ceremony of the Winter Games. And today, there's a break in the relay before the flame heads on to the capital of North Ossetia. Well, mounting concerns over possible terrorist attacks have overshadowed the run-up to the Games. Moscow insists they will be safe. Some families of Olympic athletes, though, are deciding whether or not to go at all. Brian Todd reports.
To go or not to go? Each athlete, each family faces a tough question. CNN, Washington.
And we'll be bringing you all the action ahead of the Sochi Winter Olympic Games right here on CNN. Check out our complete coverage on our Aiming for Gold page on CNN.com. Switching gears right now, allegations of physical and sexual abuse against hundreds of children have surfaced again in Australia. An inquiry is being held to look at how the Salvation Army reacted to such claims in the 1960s and 70s at 4 of its orphanages. Investigators want to know if the charity took the complaints seriously. The 7 Network's Chris Marr has this report from Sydney.
For one of our favourite charities, this was its blackest day.
You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Now, January 31st marks the first day of the new year in the Chinese calendar. Officials estimate that more than 3.5 billion trips will be made across China by plane, train and automobile during the current 40-day travel period. The holiday is considered the world's largest annual mass migration as hundreds of millions of people flock home to reunite with their families. Now imagine being stuck in your car all night long in freezing weather with no way to get home, and your fuel and heat are running out. That's what's happened to many drivers in parts of the southern United States. A winter storm hit Tuesday, ushering in snow, sleet and ice, and that brought packed, slick highways to a standstill. Well, let's get you more from our meteorologist, Ivan Cabrera, at the CNN Weather Center. First of all, Ivan, glad to see you got to work okay. What's going on?
A bizarre thing. One of the strangest things I have ever seen. This is just an incredible scene out here.
Wow, lots happening indeed, Ivan. Thank you so much. Now, we all know you can get practically anything on eBay, but why is a dinosaur crate going for almost $100,000? No one else but CNN's Jeannie Mouse explains.
If you're enraptured by velociraptors...
You are watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal at CNN Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. I'll update you the news headlines in just a few minutes.